Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the GMen. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Jawing About the G-Men, Giants Football Podcast. I'm Big Jace, joined by King Zay. And, I mean, it was a tough one to watch. It was a heartbreaking defeat to the Minnesota Vikings. 61-yard field goal in the end of overtime. In the end of regulation to give the Giants, the Vikings, the 27-24 lead. I'm going to preface my thoughts off with this game by saying the Giants weren't supposed to win this game. Vikings tied for second best record in the NFL. The Giants, especially with that skid they were going on into this game and really into just how they've looked the past couple months. Giants were not supposed to win this game. They really shouldn't have been in this game. So I'm at the point coming out of this. Should I be happy that the Giants were competitive? Should I be happy with the way the Giants performed, or should I hearken on the Vikings? Because this is a Vikings team that plays every game like this. So, who's more? Should we be praising the Giants more, or should we be going after the Vikings more after this loss, Zay?
That's what I'm gonna say. First off, I don't believe in the idea that you shouldn't win or you should win a game based off of anything. Anyone can win any week. That's the beauty of this sport. That's what makes it so great. But again, the Giants, we mentioned it last week. The Giants in the beginning of the year, they were somewhat healthy, not very healthy. We know they had injuries coming into the year, but they were somewhat healthy and they played really well, which led to that winning streak that we all enjoyed. And again, what you saw last week as compared to the weeks prior, you're seeing a team that is continuing to get healthier down the stretch. So they will compete more with the teams in the top of the division because the Giants aren't that far off from the teams in the top of the division right now. I'm not saying the Giants are a great team. I'm just saying teams in the NFC outside of the Eagles just haven't been as consistent. So it could be anybody's game. When you look at the South, we don't know who's going to win the South. The South looks absolutely weak. When you look at the 49ers, we're not sure with the quarterback situation, how Brock Purdy is going to act in his first playoff action. This is a guy who probably in more likelihood should not have seen the field this year had it not been for some bad injuries and some bad luck on that team. But again, the NFC isn't as daunting as people are making it seem, and the Giants aren't that far off from those teams at the top of the division. So I do think as this team continues to get healthy, they will continue to play better. So I will praise the Giants because again, the Giants we came into this year as a rebuild situation, and we are over exceeding expectations. Anyone's expectation, we far exceeded it. The Giants could lose the next 2 games, and it still would exceed any expectations that they had coming into the year.
You're right. I mean, the Giants are exceeding expectations 100%. And this is the same team we saw going into the season, really. I mean, we knew we were going to have to offensively. It's Saquon, Daniel Jones. That's what we knew going into the season. The offense would have to be, especially since they're both playing for a contract this year. And the defense, while we knew the defensive line was going to be good. We knew we had young pieces there, and they've exceeded expectations there. But we also knew how bad the secondary was going to be. And this game tells the tale. Listen here, Zay.
No. You can't do that because this secondary has not been bad, first off. The guys who have stepped up, they've been up and down. But again, you got to remember the third and second string. We're not talking about, Rodarius Williams, who we also lost this year. He was supposed to play a big role for us. Aaron Robson. These guys were supposed to play huge roles for us. Xavier McKinney, a guy you're going to get back. That secondary was solid in the beginning of the year when everybody was healthy.
It wasn't really, though.
It was. Though. It could because, again, when you're in a heavy blitzing defense, your cover time is expected to be less. So they were playing well. Again, you had a Dory Jackson again out there, who's another person who's not there. Are probably number one.
You're saying names, but where are the stats? Where are the takeaways? Where are the pass deflections?
They didn't have takeaways. That's the thing. You don't have to have a ton of. You don't have to have a ton of takeaways to be a great defense. It to be a good defense. Takeaways come and go in the game.
But to have a good secondary, you need to be able to intercept the football.
Or you just got to stop guys from catching the ball, and that's what they did. Teams weren't scoring at a huge clip in the beginning of the.
No, that's ridiculous.
Tennessee wasn't throwing the ball all over the place. Green Bay wasn't throwing the ball all over the place. Who was throwing? Outside of the Dallas game, most teams were playing within 20 points. They weren't putting up huge numbers through the air.
But listen, it doesn't numbers. Okay, cool. But think back to all those big. Especially in the first half, second quarter. Well, look at that Washington tie. There are so many instances where the Giants have just been burned. I don't care about
how many injuries you had to get to that point is what I'm saying.
It was the same stuff. Maybe you lessened the load a little bit, but it was still the same.
You're pointing at this one stretch of 4 games where the Giants were down to a third string offensive line, third or fourth string secondary. I don't even know who was out there at linebacker. They were so beat up. Yes, it happens. But again, when you get healthy, we have seen what this team can be in the last 2 weeks. They had a win. They had a tight game against Minnesota.
Okay, injuries. I think look at the D-line this year. They've been riddled with injuries left and right. Azeez Ojulari, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence missed some time. Obviously, Kayvon Thibodeau, but they've stayed where they're at. That hasn't been the same with. They've still been one of the best defensive lines in the league.
No, because when Leonard Williams went down, especially the Giants couldn't stop the run. Teams were putting up 100 on them. There was an infographic of teams with duos who were putting up over 100 yards on the Giants' run game because our offensive line was beat up. Then you get healthy, and look what happens. Dalvin Cook, bro, he didn't cook us. He didn't have one of those.
Yeah, because Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson were. Because he didn't need to run the football when you were gashing them.
You got healthy, bro. You got healthy. That's what happened. They got healthy. This game was 24-24.
Leonard Williams still isn't
It wasn't a ton of passing through the air. Yeah, the tight end caught touch, but there were those
touchdowns, 109 yards. Justin Jefferson.
Talking about plays already in the red zone. Yards. They weren't just slinging it all over the place. Again, Justin, and don't take nothing away from Justin Jefferson. He's probably the best wide receiver in the league.
Yes, I'm not, but still, I would like someone who can slow him down. I would like someone who can
those guys
actually cover him for 2 plays or something like that.
For those guys for not allowing him to break Megatron's record that day, because he could have if he had been going up against a weak enough secondary, but he didn't.
Yeah. Oh, listen.
Come on.
You're right. The secondary is bad, though. It is right now where it's at is bad, and it's gonna. And it was an issue. It was an issue coming into the season. It's still an issue. Is it still an issue even with everyone healthy? Is this secondary an issue?
No, I think when they get healthy, I think again when you see Xavier McKinney come back, you'll have Dory Jackson has been listed as a limited participant in practice today.
Yeah,
whether he plays this week or next week, he will. If the Giants get into the playoffs, he'll be ready for the playoffs. Xavier McKinney will be ready. And then you have these guys, these second and third string guys who've been getting beat up all year. Now they have experience going into the playoffs. You're going to see a different unit. And again, I think where the Giants sit right now, I love the matchup against the 49ers. People don't like it. I love it. Because I feel like if you could force Brock Purdy to throw the ball in a big game like that, you could force him to make mistakes.
Listen, first off, we're getting way too ahead of ourselves with that.
Correct.
We will agree to disagree then on the secondary because this, it's holes.
I think you're being too harsh on the unit for what it is. It's like beating up on the wide receiver.
There it is for what it is.
It's like beating up on the wide receiving unit. We know what it is, but the guys are still going out there. Richie James, Isaiah Hodges, they're still going out there. They're still trying to ball. We know they're not the top receivers in the league.
Zay, okay, so every team, so the Houston Texans, they're great. They're going out there every day. They're trying. They're getting paid.
Yeah, the Houston Texans are great.
The Houston Texans are good if you think the Giants defense secondary is good because they're going out there.
The Giants have the record for me to make a statement like that. The Houston Texans do not. The Giants are a winning team right now who will finish the season with a winning record. But if you're talking
about getting ready, going out and playing, then anyone's a good team. If that's what makes you good, going out and playing, getting ready, being ready for games.
The Lions are a good team because they don't have the greatest talent out there, but they go out there, they compete, they win games. You can make an argument for them. You make an argument that they don't have the greatest secondary. They let up a ton of points in the beginning of the season, but the secondary has gotten better throughout the years because that's what happens. And they won games.
Listen, you're bringing up the Lions, same thing. Their secondary is trash. Their
defensive line have gotten better. They have gotten better throughout the year.
It's the defensive line. It's not the secondary. Both secondaries suck when you have a defensive line that can get pressure like that.
It's not.
That's just what happens.
Having a great of a year. He's having an okay year. He's not. He's not having a great year. He's
turned it on when Detroit's turned it on. Since Detroit's gotten better, Aiden Hutchinson's played like that second overall pick.
Bro. At the end of the day, the secondary has improved because, again, they're not letting up as many points as they were in the beginning of the year.
Because the pass rush is getting there quicker. Okay. It's the defensive line.
It's only the pass rush.
We're going around in circles. We don't have Sean or Joe here to
I wish one of them was here, but
keep going around in circles.
But it's the truth.
Listen.
Okay.
I'm afraid since we're already going back and forth around this, we can go on forever. Comment down below which one you guys side with. Comment in the YouTube or wherever. Tweet at us. You see my Twitter on the screen there at Big J Stace. Tell us what you really think. Okay, before we move on and preview the next game, I'm gonna bring this up. I'm afraid we're gonna get wild here. I've been harsh of Daniel Jones all year, right, Zay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sold on him a little bit now. I'm definitely sold on him more now than I was at the beginning of the year, and he's the quarterback of the future. But listen, I think there's something that no one is looking into. His relationships with his wide receivers scare me. Think about the beginning of his career. Obviously, you had Evan Ingram. Obviously, you think of that great Bucs game, his first start. That big play to Evan Ingram, and then all the drops coming. Then obviously, slowly Evan Ingram gets faded away and out of the offense. And then, by the time his last couple games last year, he was barely even out there. It felt like Sterling Shepard. I mean, not Sterling Shepard. Who am I? Darius Darius Slayton. Obviously, Daniel Jones' rookie year, big piece of the puzzle, gets banged up, leaves. Daniel Jones never gets back with him like that. Same goes for Sterling Shepard. I mean, granted, we've seen such a small sample size. As soon as he gets injured, as soon as he comes back, he seems like he's lost. No, Daniel Jones doesn't go to him. And I feel like Kadarius, and then you see Kadarius Toney and Kenny Galladay. These guys, Kadarius Toney's having some success in Kansas City. Galladay had some success in the Lions. Listen, why is that? That's the common factor, though. That is. They're going out there. He's playing. Listen, and then the real thing that made me question this was Daniel Bellinger this game. Going the beginning of the season when Daniel Jones was looking his best, I think Daniel Bellinger was like the biggest pass catcher, the biggest part of the pass game for him. He was that security blanket. He was that check down guy when there weren't the big plays, and Daniel Jones desperately needs that. Mm-hmm. But you get it to him. You haven't had him for a while. Then obviously that fumble sucked, but you don't go back to him till the fourth quarter. I think that's ridiculous. I think there's something up there with Daniel Jones and his wide receivers. I'm just going to say it. I don't know what it is, but
what?
Listen, when you're
wait a minute.
And then also the way it seemed like he was forcing it to Isaiah Hodgins so much at times in that game.
Hold on. Time out.
Someone has to ask that question, though.
The man who continues to come in week in and week out and continue to throw the junk cans and not complain, you think he has a problem with his wide receivers?
Hey, look at Kadarius Toney's found some sense. Look at Evan Ingram in Jacksonville. I think that. It's just a question. I'm not saying it. Listen, before you go, I need to say I'm not saying this is I'm not saying that this is what I think. I'm saying the question has to get brought up because you're starting to see this happen, and it could continue to happen. I'm just saying, especially with this season. Daniel Jones being under the microscope, this being a career year, contract year for him, I think the question needs to be brought up. Is there an issue with his relationship with his receivers?
No, there's no issue with it. Number one, first off, you bring up Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton is number one receiver this year. He has 710 yards together and 2 touchdowns because Darius Slayton can't catch the ball.
But what happened last year?
He should have a lot more touchdowns because Darius Slayton cannot catch the ball. What about last year? We're talking about this.
Because he's fading. It's like an ebb and flow. That's what I'm saying. Like
he can't catch the ball, and you're blaming Daniel Jones's relationship on this. Evan Ingram, another one. Evan Ingram. Here's my only regret with Evan Ingram. My only regret was that the Giants didn't try him with this new style offense. The problem with Evan Ingram was he was put in the wrong place, and Jacksonville found a spot where he matches up well. He's playing more in the slot. The Giants weren't playing him in the slot. You moved him out to the slot. He's been getting more open. He's been getting better matchups against linebackers. He has been able to exploit that. The Giants coaching staff that was before the prior regime weren't smart enough to figure out how to make him effective. That has nothing to do with Daniel Jones.
Balls, though.
Bellinger, you want to talk about Bellinger? First off, Bellinger, he had a touchdown last game. Let's not get off of that. And in
last game, no, he did not.
Oh, is it the game before he had a touchdown?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like he's not throwing him the ball. The man fumbled on his second catch, a huge play that he probably would have scored a touchdown on.
His only catch. His first catch, and then he didn't get thrown at again until the fourth quarter.
But that's not his fault. We don't know what the play calling was. We don't know where they were going. They were doing a lot of movement with the quarterback. They were doing a lot of handoffs. They were doing a lot of different things. Saquon Barkley got going in the second half.
What they were doing the pass game there was just forcing it to Isaiah Hodgins.
He was the hot hand for that game. Again, the only mistake that Isaiah Hodgins was
then Patrick Peterson picked him, and then they kept going to Isaiah Hodgins.
He was late on the interception. The only mistake. It happens. That's called football. But that has nothing to do with his relationship with anyone. He was trying to feed the hot hand. He caught the ball. He made a good play. He probably would have had another big play if he didn't trip on that pass to Richie when that Richie James got caught on the deep one. There's a ton of things that go on in that game that we don't know. We can't just assume that Daniel Jones is not wanting to throw the ball to people. If I'm being Daniel Jones with the way they've been catching, I'd run the ball every goddamn play. He's better than me. If I'm being real, the way his team has been catching. Because again, look at the big third downs that are the third and 8 that Richie James dropped, an easy wide open catch. And he still goes back to him later in the game. There's no issue with the relationship. He's just going off the game plan. That's just how Daniel Jones is. Daniel Jones is an Eli Manning 2.0. As much as it is bad as it say, he's not one of those guys who's going to look for beef. He's not going to make beef. It doesn't exist in his world.
Listen, I love that you brought up Eli Manning there. Daniel Jones has a lot of connections to both the Mannings, and another with that Bellinger thing. The whole reason that this whole gear started moving for me. I heard a conversation. I don't remember who it was with. It was a podcast. One of the old Indiana Colts wide receivers. He was like I don't remember his name.
Reggie
but yeah,
Marvin Harrison.
No, it was like one of the slot guys, one of the guys down the totem pole. Goes into a game. Peyton Manning throws him a football. He tries to make a one-handed catch. Peyton goes, "Nope, you can get off the field. You're not playing again." That's how I felt with the Daniel Bellinger stuff.
Peyton Manning commands a different level of authority than Daniel Jones.
I understand that, but Daniel Jones learning from this guy, I don't know. Listen, I'm just bringing it up. I feel like it needs to be said with the amount of wide receivers that have gone about, amount of issues they've had here. I think it needs to be said. I think the question needs to be brought up.
That's the worst.
Is there an issue with Daniel Jones in the?
No, that's the worst conspiracy I've ever heard. There's not a chance. Not a chance at all.
I think the question needs to be brought up with how many. There's been ever since he's been here. There's been wide receiver issues. Ever since he's been here.
Sterling Shepard was walking around wearing a Daniel Jones T-shirt. What are you saying?
I understand that, but I get that. But there's some guys. Look at how. Listen. Look at the wide receiver position as a whole.
Okay.
Think of how many diva wide receivers there are. There always has been. Yes, they're all divas. So when you have a guy who can't connect to the diva the right way, you're not going to get the right performance. I.e. Galladay, i.e. Tony.
No one is sitting down with Lil Wayne. And then you bring up Kadarius Toney. He's had 2 touchdowns in 5 games. Congratulations. Okay. He'll be hurt the rest of the year with a hamstring or something. That's just Kadarius Toney.
That's the thing. He's not going to be hurt because he actually wants to play.
If you understand, he didn't want to be here. That has nothing to do with the coaching staff. That's not an indictment on Daniel Jones. He didn't want to be here. He wanted to be somewhere else. Then that's it. It is what it is. You hope it translates to something for him. Kudos to him. I'm not going to sit around crying over players.
I'm not.
At the end of the day, Kansas City has 1 championship. The Giants have 4. You tell me who's the better franchise.
I'm not talking about franchise. I'm talking about this year.
I'm talking about what Kadarius Toney want to be. He can be wherever he want to be. The proven track record is here, boy. We got 4. They got 1.
He doesn't want Daniel Jones throwing on football. That's I think. Listen, I'm not saying it's a thing. Listen,
that's not an indictment on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has been playing outstanding this year. He's been hitting guys. He's been hitting passes that I didn't even think he could throw this year. The way he's been fitting passes in between people, he's been impressive. He's made some really impressive throws this year. I'm not even trying to be funny. And if that's not a quarterback that you want, then go to Dallas and have a quarterback who blows the game for you at the end. Or Pat Mahomes, who holds the ball too much and then throws it behind his back and then throws an interception.
Okay, that's. You can't slander Patrick Mahomes right now. He's going to be the MVP. Listen, that's a whole different discussion. I will say,
no, he's not.
Listen,
Jalen Hurts is the MVP.
We need to move on. If he sits out some more games, I don't know. Look what happened to Embiid with the basketball. Hold on. I want to say, this needs to be. People need to ask this question though. The question needs to be asked. I think. Reporters out there need to do a little bit more digging because
there's nothing to dig.
I think that they're where there's smoke, there's fire.
There's no smoke. You're trying to dig on concrete.
I'm not. But try. The question needs to be asked. That's all I'm saying. The question needs to be asked. That's all I'm saying. Listen, let's move on. We're going. We can go in circles again. All right. Colts this week to clinch a playoff spot. I mean, listen. Talk about should winning a game. The Giants were supposed to lose last week. Talk about supposed to and should. Giants are supposed to win this football game, clinch a ticket into the playoffs. Will they? Yes, they will. I have faith in them. Will it be closer than it should be? Yes. I had to see this being like the Texans game or something. Like Giants just play close games, like the Vikings play close games. So yeah, I expect this to be close going into the fourth, but I expect Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley to put together a drive and win it in the end. So I'm going to go the Giants. The Colts, I feel like their last real hurrah was that game against the Vikings. I feel like they're dead in the water now.
They didn't win. That counts as a hurrah. They didn't win.
I know, but that was their last like big game. Like, oh, let's get up for this. Jeff Saturday on a Saturday.
I tell you what, they put up 33 points. I don't know how the Giants are going to put up 33 points.
Yeah, you're right, but I mean that was special. Like, I feel like the tires are completely deflated from the Colts, and yeah, I mean Nick Foles. Are they still going with Nick Foles? I don't even know who they're running out there this week.
But Nick Foles is the quarterback this week.
Oh God,
yeah. So I wish it was Matt Ryan. I sent them a letter.
Look, I think regardless, this D line should eat up that O line because, granted, I know Quentin Nelson has a big name. I've said a lot of good things about Quentin Nelson on this show. He's mediocre. He's mediocre at best. He's okay. This whole O line for the Colts is pretty bad. Outside of him, he's okay. Jonathan Taylor, great year last year. Obviously, been banged up by injuries. Yep. It's just not going to work. Giants should get it done. I would like to see that get in the end zone 3 times. That's all I want to see, and I think that's good enough to win the football game.
Yeah, it should be enough. I mean, again, we've seen the Giants have letdowns, but I think the difference here with this new regime is they teach these guys and they learn and they learn from their mistakes and we saw what happened with Washington. We saw the tie. They came back out again. They balled. I mean, look, it was a close game again, but they were able to get it done and they were able to hold on at the end. So you have to assume after that letdown with the Lions that the coaching staff will have them prepared and there won't be a letdown at home, hopefully. I don't want to assume anything. I don't want to jinx the Giants because, again, we've been here before. But the Giants are in a really good position. They could possibly still even make the playoffs and lose in the next 2 games. Obviously, that would look horrible on our record, but we've been 8-8 before in the playoffs, so it is what it is at this point. Again, we always talk about it. The Giants make the playoffs. It's an indictment on the coaching staff and how good they've been, and a team overachieving and learning and growing. And it's also, and like Joe said in the beginning of the year, if the Giants are going to be good, it's going to be because Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones showed up. And regardless of who's been out there wide receiver each week or who's been out there on the O-line, I can at least say both of these two have showed up all year long for the most part. And it's translated to a good season for the Giants. So, again, we hope for a win. I want to win. I want to go to the playoffs. I don't want to have to go to sleep worrying about if, who wins and who loses scenarios, whatnot. I just want to lock this up and go into the new year happy, Well, I'll be into the new year already, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you. Let's hope we can start the new year off right with this win from the Giants. It's going to be a big day. Giants can clinch playoff berth, and plus my Utah Utes in the Rose Bowl all Sunday.
For the first time in our show's history, we're going to be doing a playoff show.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy to think about. Yeah.
2020 when I started. This is crazy. Well, when I started.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, we were close Judge's first year, but that's crazy. But now that I say that, now that I verbalize it, like Dable's doing so good, but I don't want to say it. I you know what I'm thinking. You know what I'm thinking. I don't want to put it into the ether, but out in the universe. But you never know. But all right, that's gonna do it for us today. Hopefully next week. Hopefully next week we can get back in the win column. We should, and then who knows? Rattle off. Maybe Eagles already clinched everything. Probably gonna sit some people going in week 18.
We'll have Joe and Sean show up.
Win 3 of the last 4 going into the playoffs. Giants could be sneaky.
I'm telling you, they will have Joe and Sean show up again. Then where you guys been?
Oh my goodness, yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean, but if the Giants do win this week, which they should, and say the Eagles are resting some guys, they get the win that week. You will see, mark my words, whether it's on ESPN or Fox or whatever, someone's going to say, oh, are the Giants getting hot at the right time, blah, blah, blah. I think someone's going to buy into the Giants. That's all I'm going to say. That's my prediction. The Giants win the next 2. But
I'm not touching that.
Hey, I'm not saying they are. Anything could happen, but I feel like one of those guys on one of those panels is going to be like, don't look now. Giants are hot.
I'm not touching that.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well,
yeah, that's going to do it for myself, Big Jace. Make sure you follow me at Big JCAce on Twitter, and my co-host here, King Zay. Big shout out to Clovercrest Media for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you check out www.clovercrestmedia.com to check out a bunch of other awesome podcasts, and also go back, check out a bunch of old shows about John, about the G-Men, see how right we've been so far this year. And then also big shout out to Chris Sawyer at Mac Home Mortgage for sponsoring today's episode. It's going to do it for us, and we'll see you next week to talk more Giants football. Peace out, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.